Hi, and welcome to today's presentation. The topic of discussion today is environmental hygiene and sanitation. What are the goals of this particular lesson? The goal of today's presentation is to identify, to help you describe, and explain strategies that can be used to improve environmental hygiene and sanitation. I have three objectives that we need to achieve at the end of the lesson. The first one is to identify and describe at least three common environmental hazards that as a community face. Two is to list and explain three strategies used to protect, to preserve, and mitigate environmental hazards. And three is to identify and describe at least three ways in which members of the community can participate in environmental hygiene and restoration. Moving to objective number one, the first thing that we need to do is to understand what is environmental hygiene. Environmental hygiene are practices and measures aimed at maintaining a clean and healthy environment. This is to prevent the spread of diseases, to protect human health, and just to have a good feel factor. Some of the practices that we can embrace as members of the community include proper waste management, protecting the water to ensure high water quality, just having good air quality, controlling pests, ensuring that we have food safety and environmental sanitation. We can also have in place a proper mechanism through which we monitor the environment and anything that can threaten the environment. Any substance that harms the environment is known as an environmental hazard. A hazard or environmental hazard is any substance, any condition, or any activity that poses a threat to the environment and to human health. This particular hazard can either be a biological agent, it could be like a virus or a bacteria or a disease-causing organism. It could be a harmful chemical substance that has been released, or it could be physical, like heat. Alternatively, it could just be natural, like lightning, or anything that Mother Nature gives to us and we're least prepared for it. What are some of the examples of environmental hazards? Chemicals, as I've mentioned, wastes, we generate a lot of waste, sewage, oils, trash, which each and every household produce, bushes, dust, respiratory diseases, etc. These particular hazards have an effect on the environmental quality as well as affecting the diversity of organisms. Moving on, we can still continue exploring some of the negative aspects of environmental hazards. Apart from causing pollution where the air, the water, and the land is unusable, they can also cause famine and diseases. In the sea or in aquatic bodies, environmental hazards can lead to loss of diversity. We've been losing a lot of aquatic life because of the plastics and other wastes that some people deposit in water bodies. Members of the community who live in a safe environment will also have their health impacted, and that can lead to health deterioration. For that reason, we need strategies, we need mechanisms, we need ways in which we can preserve our environment. One of the golden rules of environmental preservation is preventative measures. We need to have a preventative measure whereby any deviation from the normal environment is timely fixed. Secondly, the administrative units can create laws and regulations where those that violate are punished for destroying the environment. As members of the community, we can enter into partnership with the government, whether local or federal, to ensure that we preserve our environment. We can generate income as members of this community by creating ecotourism zones, by having botanical gardens, where members of the public from different areas can visit our community and in the process bring us much sought income. In the process, they can buy, stay, and lodge in our facilities. In schools, we can have environmental clubs right from elementary to high school. You students are in a good position to champion environmental preservation. We can also have educational fairs and community hygiene days, where members of the public are invited to participate in matters to do with the environment. What are some of the ways in which we can actively participate as members of the community to preserve the environment? As I mentioned from the previous point, we can have community cleaning, community hygiene days. These are days where members of this community are invited and everyone from each household comes out to clean the environment, starting from their own household, the surrounding, to all the areas where we live in. We can create educational fair days, maybe twice or thrice a year, where matters of environment are discussed. A very good way of ensuring that we can create interest in this is to create a sports day or a games day where different estates in this particular region come together for competitions with the theme of environmental protection. This will create cohesion amongst members of the community and create a sense of belonging and ownership. The other way is where members of different families gather together for a meal, and as they do so, they can participate in environmental clubs or just ways in which we protect and preserve our environment. As youngsters, you can be educational leaders as environmental ambassadors, where you can use social media platforms like TikTok, like Facebook, to just create environmental awareness and create programs that can protect the environment. The goal of our talk today is to have a vision of a clean and polluted environment. We need strategy, and we need to execute this particular strategy for us to have a success of our vision. We can do this by having environmental reclamation, where environment that has been destroyed by waste is reclaimed. Or alternatively, we can plant trees in quarries or in areas where deforestation has taken place. We can also declutter our environment, opening up pipes, cleaning up roads and everywhere. A good way to protect the environment should start from a household, where before we dispose the waste, we sort and we repurpose some of the waste. If we can reuse in the house, we reuse it. This should bring us to what is known as the 3R, where we reduce the production of waste. And in the event that you have to use that particular waste product, we can reuse it. We can do green gardening, or we can do vegetable gardens. And in the event that we cannot do that, then we can create plants to recycle. We can even have cottage industries where the waste are recycled. We can also have a competition where we compete amongst ourselves to see which zone in our community is the cleanest. And the cleanest zone is recognized and given some form of incentive. This can be through tax rebates or other forms of incentives through legislation from the local authority. In conclusion, we notice that environmental conservation is not a one particular person affair. It includes every one of us. We all need to participate in environmental conservation, environmental sanitation, and environmental hygiene. Hazards in the environment impact on all spheres of our lives. They could be biological, they could be physical, they could be chemical or natural. Let's all practice the 3R. Reduce the production of waste, reuse if possible, and recycle. We can all contribute in environmental sanitation. A clean environment is a healthy public. Thank you. Any question from the public? Now, if there's no question, I'm going to end this lesson and invite you for a quiz to evaluate my material or the learning material that you've had.